Hello. Welcome back. If you've been around, we've started doing a new series of episodes where Alfi and I grab a interesting creative related article off of some hopefully respective websites, and we read them, we go through them, and we give our unsolicited personal opinions about them. Great. So today we are going to be looking at an article on org design for design orgs, which is quite a renowned website, right? Or is it just me?
It is. It's originally from a book. There's a book called Org Design from Design Orgs, and I think these are like his thoughts and ideas.
So Alfie is going to be leading us with the article today, and I think this is going to be an interesting one, especially for anyone that is not freelancing, that is situated in a team structure, or maybe if you are freelancing and you are pondering what it would be like to be situated in a team structure. Hit it, Alfie.
All right. So the article we're looking at today is called "The Most Important Role in Your Design Organization: The Team Lead." Now, maybe even before we dive into the article, like, would you agree with that sentiment? Would you say that is the most important role in a design organization?
I thought this is exactly why it's quite an interesting article for us to look at, because exactly of the title. It's obviously very opinionated. Would I agree with it?
Don't think too hard, just like first opinions. I mean, we're going to dive into the article so we can interrogate it.
Yeah, look, it's a very important role. I don't know if it's necessarily the most important. I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit unbiased about this one.
Okay. I understand why he says that, but I just don't agree.
Yeah. My natural instinct says yes, but that's because of social conditioning. And it's because I'm aware of that social conditioning, I'm like, breaks.
Okay, cool. So let's get this ball rolling. So the article starts, discussions of design leadership tends to look forward towards the executives and directors who sit atop the organization. And while those folks are indeed important, their efforts overshadow what I've realized is the most impactful role in a design organization: the lower middle management of the lower middle management of the design team lead. Okay. So the design team lead that's in the lower middle. So the first thing that he does is actually define what that role is. So to make sure we have a common understanding, let me illustrate. Here's an organization close to 50 people, led by a VP, who in turn has design directors reporting to her, and they in turn have 3 team leads reporting to them. So for those listening, there's basically an organogram that gives you an idea of what a design team might look like, starting with the vice president at the top, then different design directors. From there, you've got a couple of product managers, like user researchers. But I think the important part that he describes is reporting to the design directors is a group of about 6 people, and that group of 6 people is led by the team lead. And, if I think back to our time at AMSA, that was pretty much what like the app team might have been, led by Stu, and then you had, who else were the design directors at that time?
Your brother. Before he stepped up.
Before he became head of design, yeah. And so he's making the case that role is the most important. So he then goes further into illustrating that.
What's quite already obvious from that organigram is the role he is speaking to when he says design team lead. It seems to me, if I look at this organigram, the team lead he's referring to is someone who is close to the ground, or very involved with the detail of work, not a very high level managing person.
Yeah. And I think he will dive in a little more into what that means. And I do also get why he says it's most important, but let me not jump ahead. Okay, so it says a team lead is, well, just that, the leader of a specific design team. In this model, each design team has 4 to 7 team members, spans a range of skills from strategy, research, content, interaction design, visual design, and prototyping, and works cross-functionally across a contiguous chunk of the experience, illustrated here in a generic e-commerce example.
So
All
like
right, so now
squads.
exactly, and he's actually jumping into the work now. You'd have the multidisciplinary team, so a set of engineers. You'd have a product manager actually orchestrating everything, and then you'd have different designers engaging with those multidisciplinary teams. And so typically, like, the team leader would be in charge of a specific aspect of the of an entire experience. So if I think back to apps, an example might have been the app team, would be a specific sort of division in which a team lead would be responsible for. Although, okay, in my mind I actually was thinking about design directors. So the team leads would be like Tolo and so on.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And well, I mean, it's a little bit different in your situation, because I mean, you're the team leader, the
I'm all
junior
of them.
designer, the senior designer, the design director, the VP of design, all mixed up into one.
Yeah, kind of. Obviously, we have graphic and marketing designers, which fall under the marketing team and the brand team. But in an essence, I also assist there with the product as kind of leading where we want to go in terms of visual language, so that directly affects all the other departments. But yeah, let's continue.
Okay. So in this model, he's describing, and in the diagram that we saw above, he speaks about there are 5 squads dedicated to the different aspects of the e-commerce experience. Each squad has a product manager and some, usually around 6 to 8 engineers. Instead of designers embedded in squads, they work across a range of squads. And that is explained in chapter 4 of the book. The team lead does double duty as both a leader, pairing with directors of product and directors of engineering, and working with the squad as well. What's crucial to recognize in the team lead? What's crucial to recognize is that team leads are the creative leaders closest to delivery. The members of their teams are doing the detailed design and content work that will be shipped. Because the team leads have to have a handle on everything their team members are doing, they are in the challenging situation of spanning a range of conceptual levels, from strategy through to structure, to the structure of the surface, as shown here. And I really like this.
Well, I think what he's trying to illustrate here is that this type of role, the team lead, is someone who needs to have the ability to very easily and quickly zoom in and zoom out. Zoom into the detail, zoom out to product vision, product strategy, zoom back into detail, zoom out to the big picture.
Yeah. The reason why you could make an argument that it's the most important part of a design organization, because it's only part of the organization that spans that far and has that wide range of influence. Because when you're working at the very big picture, I'm thinking about what Alex's job looks like right now, and it's, presenting things to stakeholders and board members and investors and all of these high flying people.
Boring
but
things.
You don't actually do any of the design. But then if you go down to the people who actually make up the squads, they do so much of the on-the-ground design, but they don't really see the big picture. And it's really only the team leader who exists in both of these worlds.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. And it's also the role that that's involved enough in the detail or the surface to also translate the bigger picture vision into more tangible things. Where if you're obviously on a more higher level, it can become quite hard to translate this very sometimes broad strategy into actual tangible steps if you are far removed from the physical design work a lot, where this person can actually translate big picture to the little picture, and vice versa. When this person is involved in, like you're saying, influencing the bigger picture, the strategy, the vision, it can be influenced from a practical, informed perspective because this person also understands and is involved in the more practical part or the implementation delivery part.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. So I think a thing that I definitely recommend people having a look at if you are watching on video. I'm sure you can see it here. If you aren't, I'd recommend you going to find the article. But this idea of how they actually break down the different levels of resolution of a product. They start with surface being the most basic elements of it, the typography, the color, and the layout. And then they go into structure, which is a lot more around where a UX designer sort of plays their role, which is where things go, how they work together, and their relation to each other. And then it goes up to strategy, where your team leaders and your service designers start to engage with things. And then the big picture, which is a lot more around the business and how it fits within the organization as a whole, which is where your VP would play a role. And I think when you think about this sort of image in conjunction with the organogram, it starts to make sense. It's sort of like big picture sort of strategy. And this really is the thing that it's the glue, and then each person actually works on the surface. So I think this is a very cool aspect.
Yeah, you guys can also find the link in the article in the show notes, so you can actually see the visuals while we're talking about it.
All right, so picking up from where we left off, he mentions that the team leads may find themselves in subsequent meetings where they are at, 1,000 feet level of discussion in the strategy to the 1 foot level, which is the actual pixel and copy on the pixel and copy, to the 50 feet level of a solid flow and structure. They must navigate these discussions without losing their place or getting the bends. Cool. So then from there, we talk about another idea which I absolutely love from him. And it's the idea of the coach, the diplomat, and the champion. And its different styles of influence at the team lead level. So in the article it says, given this range of activity, team leads must excel in three archetypes of the design leader. The coach, managing downwards, the diplomat, managing across, and the champion, managing up and out. As a coach, a team lead does what it takes to get the most out of the team. They recognize that the team is not an extension of themselves, but a unit of individuals where, when orchestrated well, the whole can be greater than the sum of the parts. The coach establishes the parameters for success, creates big picture vision that directs the team's efforts, provides guidance in technique, and holds team members accountable when they do not measure up. So, quick question. Can you think of any sort of coach style leader that you've had in the past? Like just maybe a young name drop or shout out to someone who stood out for you.
Well, I mean, I haven't been in many big organizational structures apart from probably my time at APSA, my very brief time at Ogilvy, and where I'm currently situated, but that organigram is a lot smaller. But yeah, obviously I would give a big shout out to Stu from our team at APSA.
Yeah. Definitely a good one, and I think especially in the coaching aspect was really his strength.
Yeah.
He could engage with different people at different levels in their career, but also different
Yeah.
interests and different styles. So he's
Absolutely.
definitely strong in that from that perspective. All right. So then the second of the archetypes is the diplomat. So in the article it says, as a diplomat, the team lead often finds themselves in a challenging discussion where other functions are asking the design team to behave in a way that is suboptimal. The diplomat must assume the positive intent on everyone's part and educate the non-designers to help them understand the nature of design's contribution, how design works best, and how to integrate it in the flow of cross-functional work. The diplomat needs to strike a balance of being a cross-team player with some flexibility in their approach while not being such a pushover or get along to get along that they neglect their values. And this is the balance essentially that they need to strike. Assuming positive
Yeah.
intent and standing strong for your ideals.
I
Yeah.
can very much relate to this right now in the role that I'm in. I feel like this is an archetype I play out quite often.
And it makes sense because if you are the only designer, in a sense, you don't need to do much coaching because it's really just
Yeah.
you. And in a sense, the most impact you can provide is in the other disciplines. So yeah,
Exactly.
I would assume that you need to play a lot of the sort of diplomat.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely a skill that needs to be learned over time. It's a skill I'm still trying to craft because being a diplomat needs to be diplomatic. I guess that's where the personality characteristic being a diplomatic comes from. How you actually stand strong in your ideals and communicate that across to other people without stepping on toes, without becoming aggressive. It needs to be not accepted, but the message needs to be come across in a way that people accept it, understand it, and respect it.
Yeah. All right. And the last of the three archetypes is the champion. As a champion, the team lead manages up and serves as their team's evangelist and protector. Executives and other stakeholders will regularly ask them to do more than they have capacity for. The champion must be comfortable with the word no. Executives will fly in for the dreaded swoop and poop, and the team leads can either step aside and let the crap hit their team, demoralizing them, or they can set up the poop umbrella, protecting their team's good work and showing they have their team's collective back. Yeah, I think this is another good one. I one of the things that I do know is that it's as this role, it can sometimes, like this role can be overdone to the point that you don't let your team try new things, new and difficult things. Because I think there are some situations where it is good to be the shit umbrella for your team.
Yeah.
But there are times when it's good for them to kind of step outside their comfort zone a little bit and do something that's a little bit above their pay grade so that they can start to grow into that role. So I know it's one of the things that's really difficult about any sort of mentorship or leadership is like, where do you lead and where do you let the other people step up to lead?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And in some aspects, sheltering, it's kind of like parenthood, I guess, right? Sheltering your team members. If you do it too often, there's actually great lessons to be learned from. There's a sense of transparency. Let them see the shit, take the shit. Then there's a lot more transparency there and good lessons rather than just sheltering them from what's going on. I feel like if I think back to some leads I've had in my career, the ones that have been transparent enough to also share some of the shit they're getting is also leaders I've had more respect for. Because it can often, if you have a manager or leader and you don't understand, all the stuff they have to shield you from or the team from, you can almost diminish their value in your head by thinking their job is quite easy. Why are we not getting this prioritized? Why can't my manager get us to do this type of work? All of those things. And that's why I agree with you here. Letting that umbrella slide can
Yeah.
be beneficial for everyone.
Empowering, yeah, definitely. Cool. So, back. Leverage is power. It is, it is because of all that. It is because of all that pivots around them, from the details of delivery to the connecting with the big picture strategy. The team leads are crucial. The team leads are the crucial, literally at the crux role in the design organization. Look at the cross team diagram above. 6 designers are working with 30 engineers, which suggests design efforts have greater leverage. That leverage means a successful team lead amplifies their team's ability to wield influence throughout the broader organization. But it also means a weak team lead creates a black hole dragging down not just their team, but their whole part of the organization, which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
It's a big one. Okay. Then team leads are the pivot point for scale. If you're in a design organization that's growing, team leads are important not only for the reasons listed above, but 2 more that are essential for successful scaling. The first is easy to explain. Team leads are your front line of hiring. They are motivated to make their teams great, and strong team leads will excel in will excel as a hiring manager. It was because of the strong team leads I hire that I was able to scale my Groupon design organization from 25 to 55 in 18 months. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation, but I guess it's because of that broad level of involvement that can make them great hiring managers, because they kind of understand the culture, the vision, but also the actual skill set that needs to be embodied by the role that's being hired.
Especially because they still have control over the surface, like what the product actually is and the issues that it has and that it needs to solve, but also the strategic intent. So they actually have the clearest picture with which to hire. And the second, in the article says, the second is a little bit more conceptual. As an organization grows, their efforts are spread across more and more teams. Team leads are essential for maintaining coherence across an increasingly complex experience. Continuing our e-commerce example above, let's say the company has grown and there are more product squads. Okay. And so it's broken down the organization into different sort of categories that a squad might be responsible for. And we then go on to mention in our cross-functional diagram earlier, I showed how the design team works across continuous aspects of the experience that should remain true as an organization scales. So you then start to group the different parts of the product and make team leads responsible for specific
parts
groupings.
Of the journey.
Yeah. All right, and then we can't expect every designer to work with every other designer, but as the arrow suggests, we can ask these 3 team leads to coordinate with one another to ensure coherence across all these squads. Sure, I can just see meetings upon meetings. All right, and to wrap up the article, support your local team lead. Hiring team leads or promoting people into the role must be done with extreme care and high expectations. There's too much at stake to place someone in this position who isn't ready yet. Senior leadership, VP and design directors must expend extra effort to recruit, train, and support team leads. That effort, though, will pay off. A transformative experience occurred for me when I was at Groupon. After spending 9 months recruiting and hiring high-quality design leads around whom I could build teams, I found that how I spent my time shifted. Before, I expended much of my efforts on recruiting and hiring. What? Am I reading that right? Recruiting and hiring, management and operations. Okay, his punctuation is just a little bit strange. I didn't have the bandwidth for the kind of creative leadership the organization expected of me. Once we had those leaders in place, I could shift my focus to areas that warranted the attention of a VP, strategy and vision, specific high value hiring, incorporating other practices such as creative technology, and basically with strong team leads, the organization can almost run itself. And that is all from Mr. Peter Meerholz.
So in essence, what he's saying in this last paragraph is if the team leads are doing their job right, it also frees up the ability and capacity of their design directors and people above in the more high level roles to trust them to do it well, so they can put focuses to other high level things.
Yeah. Yeah. I quite like this article, and I like this website in general. I think for any design leader, this is a very, very good resource to have in hand.
I think this is a very nice article for actually even anyone in a junior role, and not even if you're a product designer. This can be applicable in advertising teams, in agency, in startups. It's nice to read this article to also understand some team structures and think about your career trajectory. And, does this role, for instance, appeal to you? And this can also be a formative article for you to understand either your team lead or understand where you want to go or want to be in your career.
Amazing. And that brings us to the end. Once again, thank you very much for following along on this. Again, I definitely recommend the article. But maybe more importantly, the book, Org Design for Design Organizations by Peter Meerholz. I think he has a co-author, but I forget his name. Yeah, good one. Thanks to everyone listening, and have a great day further.
Chat to you soon.